Hello everyone! Welcome to Wisdom Academy PH. I am O'Neil Domingo, your teacher for Basics of Graphic Design. So, i-divide natin yung course na to into 5 different topics. So, lesson 1 is this video, what is graphic design? So, i-explore natin yung definition ng graphic design and kung ano yung uses niya. Next, we have elements of design, color, typography, and lastly, principles of design. Let's begin with our first lesson. So, what is graphic design? Graphic design takes ideas, concepts, text, and images, and presents them in a visually engaging form through print, electronic, or other media. It imposes an order and structure to the content in order to facilitate and ease the communication process, while optimizing the likelihood that the message will be received and understood by the target audience. A designer achieves this goal through the conscious manipulation of elements. A design may be philosophical, aesthetic, sensory, emotional, or political in nature. This is from Harris and Ambrose. Medyo complicated definition, daming terms. So, i-divide natin siya into these different key concepts para mas maintindihan pa natin kung ano yung graphic design. So first, graphic design takes ideas, concepts, text, and images. Graphic design is a visual manner in presenting these ideas or concepts. Next, we have print, electronic, or other media. Yung mga ideas na to, kino-convert natin into something that we can see. So, makikita natin siya sa mga print papers, menus, ganyan. As we can see sa examples ibibigay natin mamaya, graphic design is present almost everywhere and everything else. Next, graphic design also involves a communication process. Graphic design is not just merely aesthetic. It involves responses from people na papakitaan mo ng isang design. It involves kung anong meanings yung gusto iparating ng isang designer or isang artist pag gumagawa siya ng isang design. Next, there is a target audience. So as I mentioned din kanina, gumagawa ka ng isang design or ng isang artwork for a target audience to elicit a response mula sa kanila. Okay. A shorter definition of graphic design is the art and practice of planning and projecting ideas and experiences with visual and textual content. This is from the American Institute of Graphic Arts. Ngayon, magbibigay na ako ng mga examples kung saan makikita natin ang graphic design and kung paano natin siya ma-identify. So, you can see it in published materials such as magazines, gaya nito. You can see it in menus sa mga restaurants. You can see it in packaging items. You can see it in logos, you can see it in movies and other posters, you can see it in ads, and you can see it in websites and marami pang iba. The scope kung saan pwede mong gamitin yung graphic design, nag-i-span siya ng napakaraming fields and areas in life. Kaya, it's important na malaman din natin kung paano siya ginagawa, kung paano siya dinedesign. As I mentioned din kanina, graphic design is not just merely pampaganda or aesthetic lang. Graphic design is a form of communication. And we communicate to do these 4 things. So first, we communicate to inform. We give out information to people about certain projects, about certain fact or knowledge. We communicate to inquire. We communicate to inquire because we want to ask questions. We want to elicit a response from people. Then, we communicate to persuade. Sometimes we have pitches like sa mga advertisements and we want people to buy our products. And then, we communicate to entertain simply because we want to make people feel something. So, here are some of the examples of different forms of communication and kung ano yung uses niya sa graphic design. So, makita natin yung form of communication ng pag-inform sa mga infographics natin, especially ngayon may pandemic. We use the context of COVID-19 for content na mababasa ng mga tao to better understand the disease. Next, to inquire. So, are you registered to vote? Naghahanap tayo ng mga response sa tao na sagutin yung question natin. To spark a conversation, to let them do actions about this question. Anong dapat gawin ng isang audience na makakakita ng isang poster na ganito? Yun yung aim ng pag-i-inquire. Next is to persuade. So, to persuade ay to convince people to buy things kasi nga sa advertisements. And we can also use this to join a certain cause. So, this famous poster from decades ago, this feminist poster, "We Can Do It," is a slogan for feminism, for women workers specifically noon. And then these in the Pacific is a campaign in the US regarding nuclear testing. To persuade people is to also convince them to join certain advocacies, ganyan. And lastly is to entertain. So as you mentioned kanina, to entertain is to get responses such as laughing, crying. So examples ito ay mga movie posters. Yon. Aside from being a form of communication, graphic design is also problem solving. So, bakit siya problem solving? Doon naman to math o kung ano man. So, in design, we do visual solutions. You have to figure out how to incorporate various elements and content in order to create an effective artwork that would satisfy the goals you have set. So, halimbawa, in order to achieve our goals dun sa mga forms of communication na minention natin kanina, we need to create a design na dapat kalabasan niya ay yung kung anong form of communication yung gusto mo ma-achieve. So, kung gusto mo silang ma-inform, dapat ma-inform mo sila using the poster na gagawin mo. So, as we mentioned nga na widespread na yung paggamit ng graphic design, magbibigay tayo ng iba-ibang examples ng graphic design. Pwede rin itong career choices kung gusto ninyo. Ayun. First ay visual identity. And sometimes it's also called branding. It involves visual materials that form the identity of an organization, company, or any group. You can see these sa logos, letterheads, business cards, banners, etc. So for example, this is from Burger King. As you can see na unified yung graphics, unified yung fonts, and may certain patterns na pina-follow para ma-distinguish ng isang tao kung ano yung kaibahan ng company na to sa isa pang company. So, this is Burger King, and ano yung difference ng Burger King sa iba pang burger companies. So, this is another example. This is from Xiaomi. Notice yung gamit ng colors, and notice na this is an example of a brand guide. Sa brand guide ng isang company mo makikita ko ano yung fonts na ginagamit, yung specs ng logo, ganyan, and yung proper uses ng mga company materials. Here are more examples of it. And usually, the branding is not a permanent creation. So, the branding is not final and it's continually updating based on the new design trends or if there are changes within the company's values. So, if nag-expand yung company, they might rebrand. Principles nila ay nagbago na or nag-improve pa. Usually, minamanifest nila yon through rebranding. For example, we can see the evolution of the Starbucks logo here from 1971 to 2011, keeping up with trends of minimalism. Next type of graphic design is marketing and advertising. It is the creation of visual content to promote a product or a service. It's very straightforward naman. It can also be used to promote a cause or create awareness. An example here is from Shopee. Very straightforward naman. Anything na binibenta, usually may ads designed for us to buy those stuff. So, yun. Yun yung basically. Next ay user interface. So, this refers to creating program or application design that provides a user-friendly visual experience. For example, the buttons, menus, micro-interactions, and more. So, what does that mean? So, for example, any buttons na makikita nyo sa phone ninyo or kung ano yung nakita nyo sa screen ng phones, screen ng laptops, pag may pinindot ka na isang tool, may lalabas na command. Those are called user interfaces. In-aid niya yung isang user kung paano gamitin yung isang certain tool or program na yun. Yun. Next ay environmental graphic design. So, this is an interdisciplinary practice that combines graphic design with architecture, landscaping, urban planning in order to improve user interactions with the environment. The examples here are signages, murals, posters, etc. Dito mas makikita nyo yung pagiging mas communicative ng graphic design. And usually hindi ito nanonotice. Pero this is a very useful example of graphic design in the real world. So we have road signs as an example. Then we also have pictograms. So pictograms yung small icons na ganito na makikita nyo sa mga subways, terminal stations, restaurants, or kung saan man. When we see this symbol, automatically alam na natin kung ano yung nilalahad niya. So, these designs are created to create better navigation sa mga cities. Next ay publication. Materials distributed to an audience. Traditionally, this refers to printed publications, such as newsletters and magazines, but in this modern age, this can also refer to the same materials but published electronically. So, the examples I have here are magazines, newspapers then, EPUBs, books, whatever, na pinublish. That's also a form of graphic design. And lastly, we have motion graphics. So motion graphics ay yung combination ng design and animation to produce these examples such as title sequences, credits, etc. An example that I have here is yung intro natin. Ayan. Yon. So, welcome back. So, marami pa akong hindi na-mention about different types of graphic design. And continually evolving pa siya. With the rise of new technologies, mag-expand pa lalo yung scope niya in the near future. And lastly, now we have the summary of graphic design. Graphic design can be summarized using these three questions. First, what? What is graphic design? So, not only that we ask what is graphic design, kailangan din natin malaman what is effective graphic design. So, alin ba yung mga design principles na nag-work sa mga tao, ganyan, what are the present design trends now, and how do they relate to functionality or to other fields of life? What design elements and principles do we use in creating an effective design? Sasagutin natin yun sa ating next video about the elements of graphic design. Next question that we have is why? Why do we design? What are the reasons or motivations behind the visual solution na gagawin natin? What are we trying to communicate through our design? And lastly, how? How do we design? What platforms, applications, methods, programs, or etc. do we use in order to create our visual solution? This can range from different forms of programs like Photoshop, Illustrator, PowerPoint, Canva, ng photography, and pag-edit, ganyan. So that's it for our first lesson on basics of graphic design. Really hope may mga natutunan kayong bago, and thank you.
Thank you very much for watching this video lecture made by Wisdom Academy PH. If you want to join our mission of providing high-quality educational videos for all Filipinos free of charge, then please consider supporting Wisdom Academy PH by contributing or donating to the following accounts. Kung interesado naman kayo maging parte ng aming organisasyon bilang isang volunteer educator upang makapagbahagi at makapagturo sa mga taong nangangailangan, then please proceed to this link. If you like this video, then please hit the thumbs up. And if you want more educational videos like this, then please subscribe to Wisdom Academy PH and hit the notification bell for more updates. Watch and learn, God bless, and see you on the next one.